Her mom gave me a book called How to Be a Better Husband. I flipped through it at dinner, nodded, and then handed her one back. How to Mind Your Own Marriage. The table went silent. My wife burst out laughing. Her dad took my side. So, this all happened a few months ago and I still can't stop thinking about it. My name's Jake, 38, and I live in Austin, Texas. Been married to my wife Laura, 36, for a little over 10 years now. Things have been solid between us. Not perfect, but good. We've had our fights, like any couple, but nothing crazy. We work through stuff. We respect each other. We laugh. We bicker. We support each other. But her mom? Her mom has been a pain in the ass since day one. Let me tell you about Patricia. She's the kind of woman who doesn't knock. She announces herself through the door. She walks into our house and starts rearranging throw pillows like she pays rent. Every single time we host her and Laura's dad, she finds something to criticize. Sometimes it's subtle. Oh, this is an interesting choice of curtains. Other times it's just plain insulting. When are you two going to think about a real house instead of playing house in the starter home? She's also obsessed with traditional gender roles. I cook most of the meals because I like to cook. That's never sat well with her. I think deep down it bothers her that her daughter didn't marry a guy who demands dinner on the table by 6 and yells at the TV during football. I don't fit her idea of man of the house, and she's never gotten over it. Fast forward to Thanksgiving. We were hosting just a small family dinner. Her parents, her younger brother Mike, and his fiancée Sophie. Laura and I spent the whole day prepping the meal, cleaning the house, all the usual stuff. It was actually going okay until dinner. Patricia brought a gift for me. It was a book, nicely wrapped, gold paper, a little bow on top. I opened it up and there it was. How to Be a Better Husband, Not Even Subtle. Just straight up insulting. I looked at the cover for a second. The whole table was watching me. My wife looked stunned. Mike looked like he was holding in a laugh. Sophie looked uncomfortable. Laura's dad, Tom, raised an eyebrow. Patricia said it like she was doing me a favor. I thought this might be helpful. It's got great advice for couples who want to improve their relationship. She smiled like she was giving me a plate of cookies, not a slap in the face. I nodded slowly, flipped through a few pages just to process, then closed it. I didn't say anything. Not right then. But I was boiling inside. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just put the book aside, finished my meal, smiled when I needed to, and got through the night. Laura apologized to me privately after everyone left. She knew it was wrong. But she was embarrassed too. She said she'd talk to her mom, but I told her not to bother. I had my own plan. The next day, I went to a local bookstore. I asked the clerk if they had any books on setting boundaries with family. He pointed me to a whole section. I browsed for a bit until one caught my eye. How to Mind Your Own Marriage. The title hit me like a light bulb going off. It was perfect. Same tone. Same vibe. But turned right back around. I bought it. Didn't even hesitate. A week later, we were invited to dinner at her parents' house. Just a small thing. Her mom wanted to do a casual family night. Laura wasn't thrilled, but we went. I brought the book. Wrapped it the same way hers was wrapped. Gold paper. Bow. The whole thing. We sat down at the table. Normal chit-chat. Patricia started in with her usual commentary. Jake, have you ever considered going back to school? And Laura, I still think you'd be happier working part-time. I waited until everyone was settled. Then I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the gift. I slid it across the table to Patricia. I got something for you. Thought it might be helpful. She looked confused, but opened it. She saw the title and froze. How to Mind Your Own Marriage, Mike snorted. Sophie covered her mouth. Laura's eyes went wide. Tom stared at the cover, then looked at me. He started chuckling. Not just a polite chuckle. A full laugh. Laura burst out laughing too. The room went quiet except for them. Patricia's mouth was open like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Her face turned red. She stood up and said, "Excuse me," and went to the kitchen. No one followed her. No one defended her. Tom just said, "Well, That's one way to handle things. Laura said, I can't believe you did that, and kept laughing. I didn't say much. I just ate my dinner like nothing had happened. After that night, things started to shift. Patricia wasn't as loud. She didn't offer as many tips or helpful suggestions. She didn't bring up books anymore. Something changed. I could feel it. But that wasn't the end. Because a few weeks later, something else happened. And that's when things really got weird. 2 weeks after that dinner, Laura got a phone call from her mom. It was short. I only heard Laura's side. What? No. Wait, what are you talking about? Are you serious? I was in the kitchen pouring coffee, and I stopped cold. Laura didn't sound angry, just shocked. She hung up and sat on the couch like someone had just dropped a brick on her chest. She wants us to come over tonight, she said. She says it's urgent. About our marriage. I stared at her. She's still on this? Laura nodded. She said she has something to show us. And she said you're not going to like it. I didn't want to go. Every part of me screamed, let it die. But Laura said we should go, just to shut her up once and for all. That night, we drove over in silence. I had a pit in my stomach. Something didn't feel right. We walked into her parents' house, and right away I noticed her mom wasn't acting normal. No small talk. No backhanded compliments. Just that tight-lipped smile and eyes that wouldn't meet mine. Come into the living room, she said. I want to show you something. We followed her in. Tom was sitting on the couch, looking uncomfortable as hell. Mike and Sophie were there too, which surprised me. They looked confused, like they didn't know why they were summoned either. Patricia walked over to the coffee table and picked up a folder. She handed it to Laura. These are screenshots, she said. Laura opened it. I leaned in. The pages were full of printed out texts and emails. From me. But they were fake. They were full of stuff I never said. They made it look like I was texting someone named Heather, talking about being stuck in a dead marriage and waiting for the right time to leave. I froze. What the hell is this? I asked. Patricia crossed her arms. Laura deserves the truth. Laura flipped through the pages, getting more confused with every one. This isn't real, she said slowly. Patricia looked at me with a smug, satisfied expression. Like she had finally proven something. I had a friend help me. He works in IT. I had a feeling for a long time that Jake wasn't being honest with you. Mike stood up. Are you insane? You faked texts to break up their marriage. Patricia didn't even flinch. I'm protecting my daughter. Tom spoke up for the first time. Jesus Christ, Pat. You're spiraling. Laura threw the folder down. Mom, you made this up. I know Jake. I know how he texts. This isn't even close to his tone. You don't see it, because he's manipulated you, Patricia said, getting louder. He cooks and plays the nice guy, but that's how they get in. Like I was some kind of cult leader. I could barely speak. I was shaking. This wasn't a snide comment. This was full-on character assassination. Laura stood up. We're leaving. I'm not done, Patricia said. You are, Tom snapped. You're done. He stood up too. And what he did next shocked everyone. He took out his wallet, pulled out his credit card, and dropped it on the table. That's for the hotel. You're staying somewhere else tonight. Patricia's mouth fell open. You're kicking me out of my own house? Tom didn't raise his voice. Until you get your head on straight, yeah. We walked out. Tom followed us to the driveway. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I didn't know she'd gone this far. Mike and Sophie left too. None of us could believe it. This wasn't petty anymore. This was scary. On the drive home, Laura held my hand tight. She's not well, she whispered. We got home. I didn't say much. I couldn't. I was still trying to process the fact that someone would go that far. That her own mother would fake an affair just to tear us apart. But it wasn't over. Because the next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls from my boss. And a message from HR. We need to speak with you immediately about some concerns that have come to our attention. My blood ran cold. Because I knew, deep down, Patricia wasn't done. I called my boss as soon as I saw the messages. Heart was pounding the whole time. He picked up after 2 rings. "Jake," he said, "we've had a complaint filed against you." I froze. "What kind of complaint?" He paused. "Sexual harassment. From someone named Heather." I almost dropped the phone. I sat down on the edge of the bed, trying to process what I'd just heard. Laura was brushing her teeth in the bathroom. She looked at me through the mirror. I must have gone pale. "What?" she mouthed. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My boss kept talking. "She claims you sent her inappropriate messages. Screenshots were submitted from your work email. There's going to be an internal review. You're suspended while we investigate." I couldn't even speak. I'd never contacted anyone named Heather in my life. Not on work email, not on my phone, not anywhere. When I finally hung up, Laura sat down next to me. I told her what happened. Her eyes filled with rage. "She made up a person," she said. "Your job? She's trying to ruin your life." I nodded slowly. "She's not just trying to break us up. She wants to erase me completely." I called IT at work immediately. I asked if anyone had logged into my account from a different IP, or if there had been any suspicious activity. The guy on the line was a friend, Sam. He lowered his voice. "Between you and me, Jake, this looks like a setup. We saw 2 emails sent from your account, both within 5 minutes of each other. One was a message to Heather. The other? A forwarded email to HR with a copy of that same message." I gripped the phone tighter. "Where were they sent from?" "A local Starbucks. Not your usual IP. Someone logged in through webmail. No 2-factor. They knew your login." I knew then. Patricia had access to our house all the time. She'd stayed over, watched our dog when we were on vacation. She'd had access to everything. She must have found one of my old notebooks where I wrote down passwords. I hung up with Sam, heart racing. Laura called her dad. He answered right away. "I need you to be honest," Laura said. "Did Mom ever talk to you about someone named Heather?" Tom paused for a long time. "She said she was worried Jake had someone on the side. She said she found something." I didn't believe her. I told her to let it go. Jesus, she didn't. We went to the police that afternoon. It took some convincing, but the officer on duty agreed to file a report for identity fraud and digital harassment. Laura and I brought the fake texts. We showed them the emails from HR. We gave them Patricia's full name, address, even the Starbucks location. The officer raised his eyebrow when we mentioned her name. "We've had reports on her before," he said. "Neighbors mostly. Weird stuff. But nothing like this." It didn't make me feel better. It made me feel worse. This wasn't her first rodeo. Later that night, Mike called us. "You guys need to come over," he said. Something happened. We drove to his place. Sophie let us in. She looked shaken. "She showed up here," Sophie said. "Banged on the door for 10 minutes. Screaming about betrayal. About how she was trying to protect Laura and no one listened." Mike handed me his phone. He'd recorded it. Patricia, standing on their porch, hair a mess, yelling loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "I tried to save her. I tried to save my daughter. That man is poison. And none of you care." And then something that made the hair on my arm stand up. "If I can't protect her, then no one will." We called the cops again. This time they took it seriously. They put a temporary restraining order in place. Laura and I changed the locks. We installed cameras. I filed a formal complaint at work and submitted proof of the IP address mismatch. I spent the next 2 weeks waiting to see what would come next. And something did. A package arrived on our doorstep. No name, no return address. Inside, a burned photo of Laura and me at our wedding. And a single line, typed on a scrap of paper, "You'll regret ignoring the signs." We took it to the police. Again, they started a case. But that was 3 weeks ago. And Patricia hasn't been seen since. After that package showed up, something in Laura broke. She stopped laughing at things. She stopped sleeping well. She kept checking the locks, the cameras, her phone. She was angry. Not at me, not even at her mom anymore, just angry that her life had turned into some paranoid nightmare. I felt it too. This woman, her own mother, had gotten into our heads, into our house, into my job. It wasn't just drama anymore. It was a war. My HR case dragged on, but eventually they sided with me. Thanks to Sam, the IP logs, and the police report, they cleared me. I got my job back. But it didn't matter much, because everything still felt poisoned. We didn't hear from Patricia for over a month, until Laura got a letter. Not typed. Handwritten. No envelope. Just left in our mailbox, even though we'd changed the locks, set up cameras, everything. She must have slipped past somehow. It was 6 pages. Rambling. Unhinged. She blamed me for everything. Said I stole Laura from her. Said Laura used to be a light, and I turned her dull. She said I was the reason Laura didn't become a mother yet, didn't quit her job, didn't live the life Patricia wanted her to live. She ended the letter with, "You can have her. I'm done saving her." Laura didn't cry. She read it, folded it, and placed it on the table. Then she turned to me and said, "We're ending this. All of it." And we did. Laura filed a civil suit. Identity fraud. Harassment. Emotional distress. We pulled every photo, every document, every text. We got statements from Tom, from Mike, from the bookstore clerk who remembered me buying the Mind Your Own Marriage book. The cops filed their final report and passed it to the DA. A week later, Patricia was picked up in Waco, Texas, 2 hours from Austin. She was living under her maiden name at a women's retreat center. They found dozens of fake social media accounts on her laptop, all of them following Laura, me, and even people at my job. She had emails drafted pretending to be me, Laura, even our neighbor. In court, she didn't cry. She didn't deny anything. She just stared. Her defense was that she believed I was dangerous and that everything she did was to expose the truth. The judge didn't buy it. She got 2 years probation, 200 hours of community service, and was ordered to complete psychiatric treatment. I wanted her to go to jail, but the court didn't think she was dangerous enough. So I made sure she disappeared in another way. A month after the sentencing, I sent her something. I printed out the exact same book she gave me, How to Be a Better Husband. I blacked out the title. I replaced it with my own words, 1 page at a time. Each page had a quote. From Laura. From her dad. From me. From the cops. From the lawyer. From the judge. Then I printed out the 6-page letter she wrote. And added my final line at the end. You never lost your daughter. You pushed her away. You made sure she'd never come back. I boxed it up. Mailed it with no return label. A week later, Tom called us. Patricia had moved in with her sister in Idaho. No phone, no internet, no contact. He also said something I didn't expect. You handled it wrong too, he told me. I stayed quiet. You embarrassed her. That book you gave her? That triggered her spiral. Not saying she was right, hell no. But you could have handled it another way. You poured gas on a woman already on the edge. I didn't argue. Because maybe he was right. I wanted revenge. And I got it. But I lost things too. Laura and I are okay now. Not perfect. But healing. We don't talk about her mom anymore. But some nights, when the house is quiet, I think about that first dinner. About that moment she handed me that book. And I wonder what would have happened if I had just smiled, said thank you, and tossed it in the trash.